Welcome back to the shed. I'm Syd, Macky's on the camera, and today we are going to be building a very big bike. We are going to be building up a Niner WFO 9 RDO. This is a 170 in the back, 180 in the front 29er, so very big bike. We are building this bike up for Macky. It is going to be primarily a bike park bike or enduro racing bike for more technical enduros. And we've heard that it actually does pedal really well despite being really big, but because it's such a big bike, we have kind of picked the beefiest of the beefy components to just make this thing a monster truck.
I think that it's really awesome that we have this channel, and so I get to make you build all of my bicycles for me.
Yeah, I'm regretting my life choices right now, but it is a beautiful bike.
I called this the Leaning Tower of Partsa. Mostly just did it for fun, but I think we're gonna have to take it down because this happens to be pretty much the reverse order in which Syd is gonna put these parts on. Like, she's gonna start with the dropper post, which is right there, and then go to the fork, which is right there, and then go to the rest of these, and like the grips, those are, and the saddle are last parts.
What are these? That's a headset, so that we're gonna need relatively soon.
Avalanche!
I hate you right now. First thing we're gonna do is pull the dropper post out of the box. This is a Fox Transfer 200 millimeter. You're gonna be able to fit this with your shrimpy legs.
I measured it, and yes.
I make fun of Macky because he has short legs and a long torso, so like he rides a large, but sometimes it's hard to get like the right seat height for him. So right now we are not putting the post. In fact, I'm gonna leave even more space because what we're gonna do is basically just use this to be able to put the bike in the stand, because working on bikes is much easier when they're in stands, especially when it's just a frame. The other exciting addition to the shed is we have a new bike work stand. I don't know how to work it yet, but we're getting there. So this is the new Feedback Sports Pro stand, Pro Mechanic HD. I'm definitely just reading that off of the stand, it's fine.
It's their like super beefy one. Like if you look at how big the legs are and how big the tube is compared to the previous version, it's very clearly like much beefier.
But it feels like it weighs, if not the same, almost the same.
Yeah, no, it's super light.
And it's got all sorts of cool stuff like a magnety widget.
And this thing, which
so much better. Step 2 is the shock, and Macky has chosen a very chonky shock. I think chonky is the word of the day. Look at this thing. This is a Float X2. But we are gonna need to take out this guy because this guy is just there to hold everybody together. So first thing I'll do is snip. So these things just come with the bike if a frame is shipped without a shock. Something's not right.
it needs the spacers or the hardware on that side.
Which is in this box, hopefully?
No, somewhere in this pile. Maybe it's in the box. Check in the box. Maybe I put it in there. I did pull it out.
I think you put it.
I did. Good job, me.
Okay, you stressed me out there for a second. These are basically the mounting hardware. Say you're swapping your shock, whatever. How do you get the right size shock?
That is an excellent question. You go onto the manufacturer's website and you look at the specs, and it says, for example, you need a 205/65. So that first number, the 205, is the length from here to here of the shock, and the second number, the 65, is the stroke. So it's the shock length and the shock stroke, which is how much the piston moves. And then these are trunnion mounts, and it'll tell you this once again on the website. So they bolt into the side here, and then on the bottom there's a bolt that goes all the way through, and that's
As opposed
this
to
one.
what was it before?
Well, it used to be 2 of those.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to have hardware that was the right like width here and here, but now at the trunnion you bolt directly into the shock, which is really nice. That actually makes the shock feel better because it's bearings instead of sliding around on a sleeve like this.
So a thing that I'm not sure that all mountain bikers necessarily know is that if you buy a bike and it says it has 120 millimeters of suspension, that does not mean that you can measure this and it will be 120, or in this case 170, because that's not how it works. And Macky will presently explain how it works.
The front is correct. If it says it's 180 mil fork, the fork is 180.
But I think that's why people also think that's the case in the back. I learned this way later than I should have.
The answer is leverage ratios. So if you see the distance from here to here versus the distance from here to here, this is much shorter, and so you have much more leverage. So the shock only has to, like the shock stroke is only this much, but the actual distance that the rear wheel travels is 170 mil.
I'm just over here like picking up and putting down washers because I have absolutely no idea what to do with this.
The first thing you did, which you already did, was put that through.
Yes.
Then the little rubber ones go on next.
I've done 2 builds on this channel by myself, but one of them was a hardtail, and one of them, the frame already had the shock on it.
Good point.
So this is new. I mean, I feel like I've done this before, but it's been a while.
Google Machine says the ones with flat on both sides first.
Okay, and then the bubbly ones, but the bubbles out.
Yeah, so the little bumps go to the outside.
Not perfectly centered. Should I vise it?
Yeah, so just carefully clamp it in the vise, and that should center everything up.
We're not like putting any force on this in the vise. We are just mimicking what will happen. Beautiful. I think that pretty much did it. I feel like a lot of people are intimidated to build a bike from the frame up because it's like very difficult to find the information about exactly what like little widgets you need. You know, like the trunnion bolts came with the frame, not with the shock, as one might think they might. Okay, so we definitely need spacers, which came with the frame. That's what I'm saying, is like that's confusing, right? Like you'd think the spacers would come with the shock.
Yeah, except they're not spacers on the shock. They're spacers that go in, yeah, like that.
I see. Sure. So just sticking there.
Yeah, you can put a tiny bit of grease on it to keep it, help it sticking.
Grease in there already. That one's not sticking as well as the other ones, so maybe we need to do more. This is definitely something where it helps to have another pair of hands, unless you're
an octopus.
I don't think being an octopus is necessarily.
I don't know, I feel like if you were a Hindu goddess, Shiva, I think it is, who's got the 4 arms, that could be pretty helpful.
I would definitely be a better bike mechanic if I had 4 arms. I have 4 arms, but F-O-U-R.
Oh, not F-O-R-E, I get it.
It would be hard to be a bike mechanic without 4 arms. There we go. And again, we will come back and do the torque settings on all of these before Macky rides it. All right. Now we are going to move on to the front fork.
Yes, which I think when you start exploring that, you will notice something that...
The headset bearings.
Well...
Something else?
It's not a drop-in headset.
Oh no.
You have to press the headset, but you know what is different?
Yeah, we won't be doing it with 2x4s this time, which is good because I'm pretty sure we'd get canceled. So typically your frame, if you order just a frame set, the set part of that is sometimes the shock.
Sometimes the shock.
The headset bearings, the headset in general, rear through axle, spacers, headset spacers.
It also should come with the seat post clamp.
Okay, so we need to press in the headset bearings, which is going to involve one of these kind of scary looking tools from Enduro bearings that I haven't used yet.
We are not pressing in the bearings.
Pressing in the headset.
Yes.
The bearings are in the headset.
Drop into the headset.
Like, that's the bearing.
Yeah, no, the bearing will come out of that.
Okay, so first we have to get the bearings out, or not really. Oh, the bearing came out of that one easily. Okay.
So some bikes are like this and require cups, bearing cups to be pressed in. Some bikes are like the Rocket and have integrated bearing cups, so it's basically just molded into the frame and you just put the bearings directly into the frame. Okay,
so here we go. First time using the bearing press, which I'm a little nervous about, but I think we can probably figure it out. So far, so good. Clearly. Okay, maybe one side of this doesn't come off. That's correct. Exactly what's going on. So we're gonna pull this off. We're gonna find the correct ones for the size of our headset cups. And then we just squish them on. That's not it.
Try the other direction of that one. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Okay, so that's our top. And the bottom, I remember it was sort of a sneaky. Yeah. There it goes. So which of these goes on the top?
I don't think it matters because only one of them spins anyway.
All right, we got a little bit of grease on there. This is gonna go up like so.
Good job.
You sure the spinny side wasn't supposed to be on the bottom?
I think it can go either way.
Sorry, I don't have a million billion arms. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Whee! It's a bit nerve-wracking. That's pretty good. Okay. Now we just hope we're doing this right. I'm trying to block you because I feel like I'm doing this not right and I'm scared. Tell me if it looks like I'm about to like break your bike.
So far so good.
Oh, it's going fine. We just overreacted. Oh Lord, is there like a Newton meter thing for this?
You want there to be no gaps. And there's definitely a gap on the
You
bottom
hold the
one.
top, I'm sorry, I can't do it with one hand.
Tiny bit more. Cool.
You wanna look?
No, it looks good. I can see the grease squeezing out on this side.
That was like a little scary, but I think mostly because I was afraid it was gonna be too much force, but yeah. It wasn't. That's what this tool is designed to do.
If you find yourself in a position where you have to put in one of these headset cups, we do not recommend it, but one can take a 2x4, put one cup at a time on the frame, put a 2x4 to protect the opposite side, and then, so basically you have 2x4s on both sides, you have the cup on one side, and then you like rest it against a bench or a table or something, and then you rubber mallet, dink, 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 and get it to go in that way. It's stressful, but one can do it.
This thing is impressive. It is massive. Is this the crown fork thing?
It is.
So we need our whack-a-widget, a whack-a-doodle.
This one is notched. See how it's notched? So I think it'll probably just slide in by hand.
Step one of the fork installation is the crown fork race.
Correct.
Why is it called a race?
I think the piece is a race, and it goes on the fork crown.
Don't I still? Oh, I don't even get to whack this one. Wow, that's kind of convenient though, actually, not gonna lie. All right, bearings in, top bearings in. Well, we will grease all these when we do it officially.
And the next thing goes on next.
Thanks for that super helpful advice. What would I do without you? Put on the next thing. Next. There we go. Beautiful.
Let's do 3 of those.
Your stem. So again, you always measure your fork with the stem on, because if you cut it without the stem on.
Sad day.
I think this video will not tell that story because we have every other time and Macky is tired of it.
Brief summary, Macky cut fork way too short day before leaving on international trip.
Hasn't been let to live it down.
Correct.
Some 8 years later.
So here, let's pop this one, mark it there, and we'll just cut it there, and then that one will be enough.
Okay, sorry, I also marked this, but...
No!
All right, and then we're just gonna take a minute to assess that we've done all the steps, and we have. So we're gonna pull this out. Okay, so we just use a hair interference, basic old pipe cutter to do this. I can never remember which way to turn it.
I'm pretty sure...
Last time we thought this all out and we went the wrong way. And a plumber yelled at us. So the other thing I did was just wiped the grease off the bottom so that we don't end up with little shardy shards stuck in it. Now we're doing this like a person with a brain. Maybe.
Keep going, you're good.
Then we take this guy and file it down which there's a trick to it that
Yeah, I would also not do it with the thing upright because then the little bits are more likely to fall. Yeah. You want to spin it counterclockwise.
hold it like a baby. Okay, question. Do like people under the age of like 18 watching our channel, do you know what clockwise and counterclockwise is? And can you read time on a clock? Analog clock. Please leave a comment. Because like clockwise, counterclockwise, that's like a helpful thing. I feel like reading time on an analog clock, overrated. Not that necessary. But like, how do you describe that like directional sort of thing to people who don't use clocks? Like, we don't have a clock in this house. And we're old compared to people who are 18.
And then you do the same thing, but on the inside one, yeah, or the outside one, whichever the one you didn't do yet.
Which one did I just do?
I don't know. You could look at it and see. You did the outside one.
Okay, counterclockwise again, which is actually clockwise for me. Yeah. So actually, on reflection, maybe counterclockwise, clockwise, not that useful. These guys.
You're missing a step, and I'm only telling you.
Ah, yes. The step we always miss.
Star nut. It's the star-fangled nut.
It's actually one of my favorite things to do, but for some reason, I like to forget it until we're like annoyingly far along in the process. So for this, you really do kind of need a star nut installer.
We've tried it without, and it was really a pain.
I'm trying to remember how this thing works. Okay, there we go.
The star-fangled nut always makes me think of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Okay, so up or down? Up.
That way.
The star-fangled nut is putting its arms up to the moon.
The Star-Spangled Moon.
Oh yeah, and then this goes over top of it, which is what keeps it from going all sideways and crookedy-wookedy. Okay, and then you'll whack it.
Whack it.
Which is why this is my favorite part.
And because suspension is so good, generally you want to hold it from the bottom of the crown.
God, we're just having a rough time today. What's happening there?
See how it looks.
Okay, not that bad, but we did make progress at least.
Oh yeah.
Is this small bump compliance?
Yes.
I'm a wild woman. Beautiful.
Nice.
And then if this is real stuck, you can stick a Allen key through that. Where is the bearing?
It's on the fork.
I'm glad you're here. I would have been lost looking for that thing for a long time. You hold that.
And then you want a little grease on the crown race where it intersects with the bearing also.
Oops, and a little grease in your hair.
Ah, good thinking.
Pockets. I think this might be too big.
I think it slid down here.
There we go. Oh, this isn't the...
Upside down.
Okay, cool, we're doing fine. Everything is totally fine. Stop being a stupid.
I feel like it starts looking so much more like a bike as soon as the fork is on.
Yeah. Handlebars. Macky has chosen to run aluminum bars and whatever the wider ones are, 35 something millimeters?
Yeah, 35 millimeter clamping diameter.
What is the advantage of that? Just like...
It makes them slightly
just
stiffer, I
burlier,
believe.
basically, yeah.
Well, pretty much all the new stuff is 35 now. Like all the stuff on our XC bikes are 35 also.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think they figured out how to make stuff light enough while still having the wider clamping diameter, so it's
Makes
stiffer.
total sense. All right, so we are lining up the lines.
It's one of my favorite parts about the Pro bar stem combos is that they have lines for you so that you can center everything.
And then you mind the gap first.
Mind the gap.
It's not, I feel like, how it used to be. Like you used to go, oh my God, I keep hitting this on things and moving it and I'm gonna go insane. You used to like go dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, like a star shape.
And now, at least on the Shimano Pro ones, it says close gap on the top, meaning do that first. So we're not gonna crank on these till we get the
Torquey wrench.
But if it moved again, I was gonna kill somebody, so. Remind me of the torquage.
I think it says. That's the nice part is most things are
Where?
marked.
That's what I'm...
Right there.
Oh, 5 newton meters. That's just for the bottom ones.
Well, the top ones are once the gap is closed, then you shouldn't really be able to tighten them anymore. You 0 reset it.
Don't know how to do that.
You just spin the dial on the side so that it's at 0.
I think people worry about over tightening their handlebars. I never over tighten them. I always under tighten. So this thing's very helpful to prevent you from doing that. Over or under. Come on.
Probably want to check the first one again because.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Nice. Handlebars installed.
All right. Got a threaded bottom bracket. So you think the spacer's on the drive side?
Pretty sure one spacer on the drive side. Are they all the same size, these spacers? Yeah, I think they're all the same. So yeah, just one on the drive side.
You don't sound confident. Would you like to Google that?
Okay, we're Googling it. Shimano BB spacers. Images. So 73, one spacer on the drive side. Yep.
Good job.
Thanks.
Did I just tighten them both independently?
Yes.
It's not one like you have to hold it on one
Correct.
side.
They do not thread to each other. They thread into the frame.
Dun, dun, dun. Can you over tighten the bottom bracket?
I'm sure one can.
Can I? No.
Probably not.
Probably not. I don't think I've ever over tightened anything in my entire life. Okie dokie. Cranks.
Keep a clean workspace.
Got some XT cranks for this bike. We're missing something. A chain ring. What size chain ring? A 34. Interesting choice. Thought for sure you'd go for a 36.
Nah. If I'm going that fast, I should be coasting anyway.
This is not usually this hard for me. I don't know what we're doing wrong. Oh. You literally walked over here. I wasn't even looking at it and it just like slid on. So I don't know why I was having trouble before. A conspiracy to make me look dumb on the internet. Which of you, not you.
Yes, you.
Oh, shoot. A conspiracy to make me look dumb on the internet.
Yeah, you can either do that, but what's easier is to just put a tiny bit of grease on that thread there.
I'm gonna use our lock ring tool to lock it on. And this is the thing that I have historically not tightened enough. I'm literally sweating. Okay, I think that's good enough. Whoops, forgot that was gonna happen. We decided to turn the bike around to make it a little easier to put the drive side crank on in the chain guide. In the process of that, I smacked my head into the top of the dropper post. We had to take a little break and put an ice pack on it. So thick and a thin under each side.
Thick and thin each side.
Do you want to explain why you chose to run a chain guide on this bike, even though you don't have chain guides on most of your other bikes?
Yeah, probably don't need to, but I don't really care if it's slightly heavier. And a little top guide just like pretty much guarantees that you will never drop your chain, which clutches and narrow ride chain rings already help a ton with that. But this is just like one additional little thing. Your bottom bolt has the washers on the wrong side, which is why it's looking weird.
Thought something was off. That's a specialty trick of mine, putting the washers on the wrong side.
It is a lot easier with the crank not on.
How do you adjust this exactly? Because you have to adjust it. Is there a thing that says like put it here for a 32? No.
So I would just go ahead and like not tighten it all the way, leave it slightly loose, and we'll adjust it when it's on there.
I bet this is how mine ended up coming loose though, is we said we were gonna do that and then we never went back and tightened those ones. Okay, we've got our drive side crank, got some grease on the tube or whatever it's called.
Spindle?
Spindle. Got our rubber mallet just in case, just so it knows that we mean business. Definitely gonna need some encouragement. You should not have to like be like wailing on this.
So you just want to make sure that it clears that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Ooh, one thing I just realized. We forgot to put a spacer on that side.
I'm gonna hit you with the rubber mallet. This spacer goes like so.
You want the seal side. I think.
This is the seal side, right?
Yeah, sorry, out from the bottom bracket. Yeah, it's looking like the guide needs to come out. So once that's loose, then you unscrew that inner.
This guy?
Yep.
Aha. And then how far down on here? You have to have room for the chain, obviously.
Yeah, I would say just leave it like that for the moment and we'll adjust it once the chain and everything's on.
Now we're going to install the non-drive side crank, which is also a Stages power meter crank. This little thing is the power meter. It's basically a strain gauge that shows how much strain, I guess, you're putting into the pedals.
What we do is send our crank arms in. So this is the one that just came with that crank. We will send this in to Stages and they do a factory install. And so they shave a little bit of the metal, or not the metal, but like the paint off and then install their strain gauge and then send it back. And it's cheaper than buying a brand new crank arm. And what we usually do is crank those all the way down and then back them off like a quarter turn once they're tight. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Nice. That's something that a lot of people don't know about, is that little thing that Syd just snapped in there is the, I don't even know what it's called, like the safety tab, but it keeps your crank from falling off even if these bolts come loose and this thing comes unscrewed. What happens though is people who don't know that that safety tab is on there, when they try to take their crank off, they loosen everything and then they're pulling on it and they're like, why won't it come off? Right. And it's because of that.
Safety first. Because these are bench bolts, you have to go back and forth. What's the
13, which that thing won't register, so you have to use the other torque wrench.
Trying to figure out if it's the front or the rear. There's just alphabet salad on this.
The BL is brake lever. Okay. It says which brake lever, which is the M8100, right side or left side, and then this is whether it's a brake M8110, which is the 2-piston, or M8120, which is the 4-piston.
Okay, so rotors, what are you putting on here, and do we need adapters?
We do need an adapter on the back. I'm gonna put 203s front and rear.
Where's the adapter? I see it. How much do you think this thing's gonna weigh?
I do not know. I'm very curious, actually.
We'll weigh it at the end, so put your guess in the comments. It's carbon fiber.
Fox 38, full XT. I'm gonna put fairly beefy tires on it. Yeah. I'm gonna do DHR2s.
4-piston brakes. Okay, so paying attention to whether you need brake post mount adapters is important if you're building a bike or if you want to put on big rotors or whatnot. Like, these are just things to like think out in advance. Cool, now I don't know which is the front, which is the rear, but the rear is gonna be the one with more cables, so it's gonna be this one. This does have an arrow that says up, meaning forward, I guess. Yeah. I hate this task. It's like a miracle if we don't drop something and it takes 20 minutes to find it.
I'm telling you, octopus. If only we'd evolved to have 8 arms.
At least 3.
So it looks like it goes through this guy and then into that hole there and then out and then back into the frame up here.
I'm gonna break a tooth. Probably better to do that with pliers than with your teeth. We have a problem, which is that because this bike is so big, by big I mean long, the brake cable that came with this brakes, or brake hose, I should say, is too short. I mean, you could put it in there, but then if you turned your bars, especially if you like crashed or something, like you need a little more leeway than that. Luckily, we have everything somewhere in the shed, so we have a 2000 millimeter hose right here.
Because it comes with a 1700 millimeter.
The first thing we're going to do is undo what we just did. Loosen these guys. I think I'm just going to pop the pads out because in the event that we don't do this as neatly and tidily as we hope to, then we won't get brake fluid on the pads. Probably unnecessary. Since I've never done this before, I think we'll just err on the safe side. So we will have to do if you could just hold that, that would be great. A full bleed after doing this, obviously, because I don't think there's even any fluid in this other hose.
Let's take a look at this because it's kind of cool. The way this works is this is full of fluid and this banjo has a hole in the center, right in there. There you go, you can see it. And then this screw is a weird screw that basically has notches down the side. And so once that's screwed in, fluid can still pass by it and then make it into this banjo.
I feel like hydraulic brakes on bicycles are just really impressive, like engineering in like tiny, extremely light packages.
Yes. So I think we need 2 washers. I think there's supposed to be 1 on either side of the banjo. The other one could still be attached to the other banjo. It also comes with new washers, but I figured these ones are brand new, so. You want a little washer on either side of that banjo.
Which makes total sense, otherwise it would leak. Okay, I'm gonna get the brake fluid off of that, and then I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. And we're back where we were, and hopefully 2000 is long enough.
So the new hose is good?
New hose is good.
Oh yeah, look at all that hose.
Okay, well you need to decide how long you want it.
Let's throw a grip on there and the lever on there. Okay, so I want it right about here.
Looks about right. Now we cut it. But I don't like that it goes upside down, like the Shimano logo goes on the bottom. Or I've just been using this upside down my entire life. I don't know which. The nice thing about doing this with a new hose is there's no fluid in it. All right, barb going in. Oh, and she's gone. This does, however, still have fluid in it. Let's pop off this yellow. By pop off, I guess it screws off. Nope, it does pop off. Yeah, see, there you go. I got fluid on my shirt. Why you wear an apron. All right, there's already an olive in there. So basically, this is again another one of those things. It's kind of hard.
We are forgetting something that's important.
Oh yeah, the thing, the widget.
Do not forget this cover, people. You will be real sad.
Okay, so you hold this upright to not dump out what fluid there is in there. Push that in and screw it down. Cover on. Push the magical trapdoor. We're going to repeat the same process with the front brake, only it's easier because there's no post mount adapter. And the hose is going to be long enough, we hope.
For some reason, I find this bolt like one of the hardest bolts to put on.
20 centimeters. Okay, now we are going to repeat the same process that we did with that brake on this one. There's this thing that's swinging around. It needs to be above that, but above it like that.
Yeah, so it needs to be touching the Z index screw because that's what makes that adjustment actually possible.
The next task that we are going to tackle is the shifter cable. I think we'll just start by running the housing.
I love full cable runs. That is such a wonderful thing.
Like full housing runs. What a terrible idea ever to have it be like you have to cut your housing a billion times. Why was that a thing?
Oh, to have like pieces of it?
Yeah, I feel like on
question.
old bikes, it's like you would cut your 7 different pieces of the right length. So you'd have to have the old housing to cut the right length. So the question is this cable housing going to be long enough?
I was wondering the same.
Probably not, huh? I think it's gonna be fine. I mean, the iSpec stuff is awesome because you have less things on your bars, but man, it's really irritating to get on the first time.
Fortunately, it tends to be a one-time thing.
And then install this the wrong way, and then do the whole thing over again when we get it the right way.
Exactly.
Do you know which way it is?
I don't. I kind of think that's correct.
So I should probably reverse it because we are literally always wrong the first time. I think maybe we were right the first time? Is it possible? We'll never know till we get it on there. Run the cable through the ferrule. Did it come out the other end? Give it a tug.
Yes. Wow.
Not long enough.
It is long enough, but just barely.
Wow, okay. It's weird that the housing would be that much longer than the cable.
Push this in till it matches the brake better. Maybe a little more of a loop. Yeah, that's good.
Oops, forgot the ferrule.
That is.
Give it a tug. Now we put this in here. We are not going to adjust the derailleur in this video. We will put a link to a derailleur adjusting video. Okay, around.
No, the other way was correct.
That always gets me because it's like it could go either way. And would you really be wrong if you went the other way?
Well, what might happen is your bike would shift 7 times with one press and then not go the other direction. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything.
Really? That works to do that? That's what happens?
Yeah.
It's almost kind of magical if you wanted to.
Well, except that it doesn't actually stay in any gear or anything. It's very annoying.
All right, let's set up some wheels. We'll do the rear wheel and then magically do the front wheel. Okay, let's do the cassette first because that's the harder part. Rotors are easy. So we have got an XT cassette, which is a 12-speed. What is this range?
1051.
Let's grease first. Good, is that enough?
Good.
It's probably way more than we need.
It's ready to go.
That plastic thing goes with it?
It sits on top of here and then the cassette slides down off of it.
Oh, okay. I feel like that is not... I see what you're talking about. Yes, okay. And we get every other little one of these on. Saving the best for last. And by best, I mean the sneaky, tricky ones that are weird. So this one has like a pattern on the top and a pattern on the bottom. They're not the same. Yeah. So first we line up the bottom pattern. And a thing that likes to happen is what is kind of happening right now, which is where that is not actually going on. Now it's on. Sometimes it likes to not go on and you can't really tell because you can't really see. Just something to look out for. And then I'm sure there are people that can do this faster than me. But I have other skills.
What's the trick with the grease on that thing? Remember? You just need it in one spot because it spins.
Yeah. That's what I did, but then it just kept coming out. Little finger tighten, and then we're gonna find our thingy cassette tool. Now that we know nothing's gonna fall off, we're gonna pick this up to where we can have some leverage. I have a little more finesse with the grease gun than I do with the tub of grease, but the grease gun is empty.
Yeah.
All right, rotor going on. Try not to get grease on your rotor.
On the rotor.
I didn't.
Excellent. And then lock ring, you want same thing. There's just like, because it's a thread, you can put a tiny bit on the thread and then it's plenty. Yep.
And again, greasy fingers not going on the rotors. Though if you do, it's not the end of the world. It's just easier if you don't.
Nice.
Okay. Macky has chosen to do DHRs in both the front and the rear, even though DHR technically stands for downhill rear.
It was recommended by the guy at Maxxis, so I figured, he probably knows. That is forward.
But do they have an arrow?
Probably.
Because for those of us who are geometrically challenged, we have to have the arrow. We have a valve stem in this wheel already, so that's good. This should be easy. There we go.
Nice.
Look, I lined up the logo for you.
Thank you.
This is a hefty tire.
Yeah, it is. With the Stanza race sealant, you cannot put it through the valve stem. Oh. So we have to do it the old school way.
And then we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the valve core, because not get rid of, we're gonna take it out. We'll put the air through there with the compressor and get as much air as possible, even though we're not putting the sealant in that way. It's kind of a shame because I do like putting sealant through the valve stem. It's much less messy. Tell me about the sealant, because this is we haven't tried this sealant before.
Yeah,
so.
What does it say? It probably tells us
Race
how much.
sealant virtually eliminates flats. Maximum sealing power for extreme conditions. What is this,
2.4.
60 to 90 for 1.0 to 2.4, 90 to 120 for 2.5 to 4. So I would do like 90. Do you want to do this sealant? Because this bike is probably not going to get ridden a ton because we're about to go out of town. Are you going to come back to like Urchins?
Apparently it lasts just as long as regular stuff.
Okay, so by extreme conditions, they didn't mean extreme amount of riding.
It can handle higher and lower temperatures as well as seals bigger punctures. Close and shake it first, because I think that is one thing that we're supposed to do.
Like death. I'm just gonna wing it. 100 milliliters is like that, so a little less than that.
All right. She's winging it.
I don't follow recipes, and this feels a lot like a recipe. Everybody get in the middle. So this is our trick for getting, if you are a person who has a hard time just like muscling tires on, especially big, stiff tires like this. Get everything into the center.
Beads into the center channel of the wheel.
And then get as much as you can get on until you're left with about this. I feel like men are kind of dismissive about the fact that like actually for a lot of women and probably just like smaller people in general, like one of the hardest things about bike maintenance is like grip strength.
I'm not dismissive about it. I'm sorry
Just
if I
were,
seem
but it's
dismissive.
fine. You will no longer be dismissive of this.
Never again.
Okay, so we have a video about seating up tubeless tires with a floor pump. We used to do that all the time. However, it's simply harder. So today we're not going to do that.
And we have an air compressor.
We have an air compressor.
So we aren't
You're
going
welcome to go watch that video. Like a dream, baby. Isn't that beautiful? For some reason, I have a really hard time putting on rear wheels without the chain.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, it's just like my brain doesn't know where to put it. Is there a reason for not putting the through axle turny part on a bike like this? Like, I feel like downhill park bikes, enduro bikes almost never do, but it's like, it's just like this statement where it's like, I'm not gonna stop if I get a flat. I'm just gonna ride down the hill on the rim. Like, it almost makes more sense on an XC bike because you're trying to like make it lighter.
Well, our XC bikes don't have them either.
I know, I'm just saying. Alrighty. Let's see if I remember how to do this. The words go out that I remember, and then we're gonna go big to big without the derailleur for our chain measuring portion. Obviously, everything is gonna rub on everything right now because there's, oh man, chain guide's not totally in the right spot. There we go. Okay, cool. Well, that evidently is where it wants to be, isn't it?
If you cut it there and the quick link would fit, it's 4.
Okay, so
otherwise
actually,
it's
so
5.
the quick link doesn't fit here, so it's 5.
Correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then I would prefer if you added 2 more because we have not taken into consideration wheel movement with this full suspension.
Which there will be a fair bit on this bicycle.
Yeah, we can cut it there and then we can always cut it shorter if it turns out it's too long.
Yeah. As always, easier to cut it too long than to cut it too short. Now that we've cut our chain, we are going to run it through the derailleur, which means we go around the hill and over the fence and then down the waterfall. All right, and then I think I will employ Macky to
get you your third favorite tool of the arsenal. I think you have 3 favorite tools. That one, the pokey tool, and the brake cutter.
This is probably my all-time favorite tool. I don't know why, because now that I've actually learned how to put on quick links, like it's really not that hard to just pedal it, but we never had the pedals on for starters. Yep, true. So there's that. I think I might employ you to push the derailleur.
So use your third arm when you're an octopus to hold the derailleur down.
We're gonna be up a creek without our quick link putter on our tool. Quick links are really brilliant thing. Possibly my favorite mountain bike invention of the last 15 years. I don't know how long have quick links been around.
So you want the arrow pointing in the direction of chain movement.
Oh, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. Okay, now we're on.
Do we need a brake mount adapter? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know. Deciding if we needed brake mount adapters was kind of your job.
Turns out we needed a brake adapter after all.
This might be our all-time. No, it's not our slowest.
Don't even say it. Not even close.
It's the slowest one we've filmed for sure. It's definitely the one we filmed where the most annoying things went wrong.
That's true.
The slowest was probably the one where like
We were missing a headset and a seat post clamp.
And I also feel like our fork ended up at Walgreens in Espanola. We had to drive to Espanola because it got shipped to the wrong address or something. That was definitely the slowest. But if you guys would be interested in seeing how fast we could do a bike build, I was kind of thinking we should do a like timed one where we post like the entire thing.
Ooh, I like that. Working together.
I think well, yeah. Otherwise it's gonna be like a 7-hour long video.
Don't tighten that all the way down because it's got a special pinch bolt thingy that we have to do.
Oh, that's new. Okay, so we realized we also forgot to grease the through axle. So things are going great today. You do want to do that because like a stuck through axle is just such a nightmare. Yeah. I'm not super worried about that happening on Macky's bike because he flats his tires enough.
Oh,
not even necessarily that though. I feel like you're likely to take this wheel on and off. Like either you're changing tires or you flatted the tires.
And before you put that all the way in, a little grease on that thicker part. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I feel like frozen things are not typically like our biggest issue, but we have dealt with other people's frozen things, and it's the worst.
Don't be a frozen things person.
Okay. So we use the Google machine, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten this to 9 Newton meters. So we're using our handy dandy little feedback thing to get it to 9, which is actually kind of hard with one finger. 9 is like a little past my one finger strength, apparently. That's 9. Boom. Okay, so then we take the bike out of the frame, which luckily is what we were about to do anyway. The last time I kind of just like released it and then hit myself in the head with the dropper post.
Hold and then unscrew, then you can hit the button if you want to.
I'm scared. The button is, see, the button's kind of scary. Like, the problem was I was standing on their side and I hit the button and I wasn't holding the bike with enough force, so it just hit me in the head. Now we cycle through. Would you like to do this part?
Yes.
So before you do the pinch bolt, you cycle through the fork a couple times. Fox had a little video about it explaining why that I'm going to be honest, I didn't entirely understand, but it has something to do with floating.
Basically allows the two stanchions to be perfectly parallel to each other, so there's no binding.
Now we're going to do the pinch bolt to 5.1, which this doesn't do, but I'm going to assume that 5 is fine. I need to recalibrate, hold on. All right, did a smidge over 5. Take this out of the stand again. See, we want me to practice this. All right, dropper post. I'm gonna mock this up real quick before we take this off and get even more confused. That looks about right. Okie dokie. Is this like supposed to be back to here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not right. Okay, so start the cable here, run it through, ends in the thing.
I believe that's correct.
Let's go ahead and run our housing through first. Great.
Okay, so this is the time that I suspect if you run the cable through, this is something that I found that for some reason works. So like if you pull it out very slightly, because the cable makes the corner more easily.
Yeah, for the record, we're just doing this to get the housing through, not to run the cable, because it's gonna go the other direction. And somewhere.
There we go. I don't know why that works, but it does.
I also just appreciate how much better over the years this situation has gotten, because like that's slightly annoying to have to do it that way, but like I feel like there were other bikes we've had that.
Oh man, the tricks we had to resort to.
Yeah.
And then we finally got that cable running kit and it was way better, but it was still annoying.
But we also like right around when we got that, it seemed like bikes got a lot better with that particular issue. Okay, so we're gonna run this guy onto the cable. I would say dropper post technology is one of those things that has gotten so much better. This used to be such a pain in the tuchus. Both the routing and then like the posts that the cable connected on the post instead of.
So we're going for 70 or 71 bottom bracket to rail. What are we at?
72?
Are my legs too short?
Man, the way the industry's going, you're not gonna be able to have a dropper post in a couple more years. I don't think they'll even make 175s anymore.
Okay, my legs aren't that short.
Evidently they are. I just am giving you a hard time because you were so sure. Okay, I think that's probably very close.
Cool.
That is way too much. Do you reckon like that-ish? Give or take. All right, and then to cut this without cutting the cable, we pull this. Oh, I tightened that. Why did I tighten that? We have to cover this whole thing because it's all going in.
Oh, she's on fire.
Just so much carbon prep.
No, you just put it on the lower part. It'll get pushed up to the upper part, sassy pants.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. Cool. Still don't have enough fingers. You need one finger to hold that. And then one. Make the ratchety tighten. La la la. So obviously there's still some things to do before this bike is ready to ride. Like the cockpit is not set up. Macky will need to set up his seat and then center the brakes and bleed the brakes, especially the one that we had to add another hose. But we have videos on all those separate things and it's time for us to eat dinner. So we're not gonna do that in this video, but we will weigh it. So most bike weights that you see, if you're buying a bike, those are always without the pedals.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because you can't ride without a pedal. But also, like, I guess it makes sense because everyone wants their own pedal. But we're gonna weigh it with the pedals because that seems to me like the proper thing to do.
Okay, what's your guess before you look?
34.
Pretty good, 34.92.
I think the bike is absolutely beautiful. If you want to see Macky ride it, his first ride will be over on our other channel. It's probably already up because we're a little closer to real time on that channel. So go check out Syd and Macky on YouTube and we'll catch you next time.